Welcome to English with Leanne. Today we have the idiom, the bells and whistles. You'll often hear this as all the bells and whistles, and you might say that something has all the bells and whistles. I got it with all the bells and whistles, or I don't want any bells and whistles, or can I get it without bells and whistles? Oh, wow, those are lots of examples. But what does that mean? Are we actually talking about bells and whistles? No, we are talking about the fancy extras. So when we see all of these examples that I just said, the fancy extras, the things that might make something really nice, but they aren't necessary. Now, where does this idiom come from? That's a little bit of a mystery. I found 3 different stories. The first story was that it came from trains, and that trains would have a bell or whistle to make a noise when they arrived or passed an area. And whether or not that bell or whistle was necessary was a question. But that might not have been the actual origin. There was also some stories that I found about fairs where people would come in and have lots of amusements to look at, and there would be lots of decorations and fancy bells and whistles all around to make it look more interesting, more exciting. But again, that didn't even seem like the best origin. The third story about where this idiom came from is actually technology. And that as we developed more and more technology, we started adding on more and more fancy features, and we called those bells and whistles, things that weren't necessary, but were kind of nice to have. An example of how you might use this, besides all the ones I gave you at the beginning, are maybe when you are car shopping. I might have said a few years ago, I want a car without all the bells and whistles. And that was me saying I didn't want fancy extras. Now, I might say some bells and whistles are really nice to have in a car. I think my next car will have a few bells and whistles. And there I'm saying I'm going to have a few extras, things that are nice but not necessary. You might go and tour an apartment community, and they might say, we have all the bells and whistles. We have 2 gyms, 4 pools, and 3 laundry rooms. Whew! Seems like there's a lot of different extras that apartment community has. So the bells and whistles, all the bells and whistles, those are going to be different ways that we use this idiom. So good luck!